Location: Westwood Hills Estate, 4:41 p.m. A boy with grease on his hands walks into a home filled with priceless antiques and oil paintings. He's here to fix an old television. But what he doesn't know is that his focus, patience, and quiet brilliance are about to spark a chain of events that will rewrite his life. In a world where people judge by clothes and skin, one boy's hands-on genius breaks through generations of silence and money. Stay with us, because what the billionaire does next will leave you speechless. The camera glides through the sprawling halls of an enormous estate, where sunlight slips between velvet curtains and dances across polished wood floors. Outside, oak-lined driveways wind like golden ribbons through acres of manicured lawns. Inside, silence lingers like a question waiting to be answered. In the heart of the mansion sits a grand library, its high walls lined with antique books and glimmering brass fixtures. A fire flickers in the marble hearth, its quiet crackle the only sound in the room. The golden glow of morning sunlight bathes everything in soft light. Kneeling on the rug at the center of the room is Jaden, age 14. He wears a plain hoodie, a pair of worn jeans, and an expression of calm concentration. In his hand is a small screwdriver, and before him stands a dusty, vintage television, more museum piece than machine. The air in the room is thick with quiet skepticism. Members of the house staff hover nearby. A maid leans toward a footman and whispers, "He is just a street kid. What is he going to fix?" Jaden hears her. He hears them all. But his eyes never leave the screws. One by one, he loosens them, careful not to strip the worn threads. He places each one beside him in neat order. Behind him, watching from a distance, is Mr. Whitmore. Tall, silver-haired, dressed in a tailored suit, he stands with arms crossed. Years of disappointment have left his face unreadable. He has hosted engineers, consultants, and collectors, all of whom failed to bring this old television back to life. When his assistant suggested bringing in a teenager from the city's outreach program, Whitmore nearly laughed. But now, as he watches Jaden work, something in the boy's steadiness causes him to pause. Jaden wipes his brow with the back of his hand and lifts the television's rear panel. Dust puffs into the air. He does not flinch. He examines the wiring, adjusts his grip, and begins cleaning the connection points with a brush from his back pocket. No one speaks. The fire crackles. The tension stretches like a wire pulled taut. This moment, unfolding in golden light and quiet doubt, could end in humiliation or in a miracle. Jaden does not hope for applause. He only hopes for one clean spark. Where are you watching from? Ever walked into a room where you felt out of place? Tell us. Jaden lives on the third floor of a brick apartment building, with cracked walls and pipes that clang every time the shower is turned on. The hallway smells like old laundry and yesterday's cooking. His room is the smallest in the apartment, but it feels like an entire world. Schematics are taped to the walls, some printed from the library, others hand-drawn in pencil and labeled with arrows and notes. Tech parts, broken radios, old circuit boards, and stripped wires are stacked in plastic bins beside a makeshift workstation built from wooden crates and an old cabinet door. Each morning starts with the same quiet ritual. He wakes before sunrise to the hum of the city outside and checks the note on the kitchen table. Always the same handwriting. Always the same message. Love you. Be safe. It is written in black ink on a yellow post-it and stuck to a plastic bag of cereal. His mother, Talia, leaves them every night before she catches the bus to her cleaning job downtown. She scrubs marble floors and glass elevators while the office lights are off and the city sleeps. Jaden rarely sees her during the week except in passing, but their communication is stitched together with sticky notes and phone calls during her breaks. When they do have time together, it is sacred. They share leftover takeout on the fire escape and talk about everything from resistor voltages to old cartoons. She calls him her bright mind. He calls her his anchor. His father has not been around for years. No explanations, no letters, just a silence that settled and never moved. That absence changed things. Jaden became the man of the house without ever being asked. He works after school doing odd jobs, replacing light fixtures, resetting routers, fixing microwaves for neighbors who can't afford repair shops. His backpack always holds a small tool set next to his homework. At school, he blends in until he is forced to stand out. Teachers rarely ask him for answers. Some have already decided who he is. One math teacher once told him, "Stick to trade work. College is not for everyone." Jaden nodded, but the words dug in. Another student once laughed and said, "You fix toasters? You're just a future janitor." The comment stung, not because of what was said, but because of how others laughed along. Still, Jaden keeps going, keeps fixing, keeps learning. His grandmother, before she passed, used to tell him, "Talent is louder than hate, baby. Let your work speak." He never forgot that. When his hands are inside a circuit, when he feels the snap of a connection sliding into place, everything makes sense. The noise outside fades. What is left is purpose. His favorite projects are always the ones others have given up on. Broken radios with missing knobs, remote controls filled with corrosion. Once, he brought an entire coffee maker back to life using the heating coil from a hairdryer. He does not care about making things pretty. He cares about making them work. Jaden does not dream of fame. He dreams of building something that matters. Maybe a tech company that helps low-income families. Maybe a nonprofit that teaches kids to repair and create instead of consume and discard. Whatever it is, he wants to leave proof that brilliance can come from anywhere. He walks with quiet confidence through places that try to forget him, and when the world tells him to stay small, he sharpens his tools and gets to work. He focuses not on what is broken, but on what can be built from what remains. That is his power. That is his path. Because his dream is not built on what others expect. It is built on what he knows he can do. And each time he picks up a screwdriver, each time he reads a circuit board, each time he rebuilds something that was left behind, he adds another line to his story, a story still unfolding. Have you ever chased a dream people said you could not reach? Let us hear about it. The buzz of soldering tools and low music fills the air at the Community Tech Hub, a converted shipping container tucked behind a laundromat. Inside, young minds work hunched over disassembled radios, toy drones, and blinking circuit boards. Jaden is crouched beside a metal toaster, coaxing life into the stubborn appliance. His fingers move fast, steady, and sure. Wires click together, sparks flicker. He is in his element. Miss Claire, the Tech Hub supervisor, stands near the entrance balancing a clipboard and a phone against her shoulder. Her brow furrows mid-call. She turns toward the room. "They need someone urgently at Whitmore Estate," she announces, eyes wide. A ripple of surprise moves through the space. Someone whistles. Another teen snorts. "Whitmore!" As in the old money mansion with the indoor pool and the panic room. Claire nods. That Whitmore. Vintage Zenith television on the fritz. Laughter follows her words. Heads shake. Jokes fly. They want a pro, not a kid. Bet they want some fancy repair firm. Why would they call here? Claire shrugs. They called every repair shop in town. No one wanted to touch it. Said it has not worked in over 20 years. Jaden wipes his hands on a towel and steps forward. "Let me try." Claire blinks. "You?" They're expecting a technician with a certification. Jaden straightens his shoulders. "Let me try." There's a beat of silence. Then Claire sighs. "All right. Don't embarrass us, all right? Take your kit. You represent the hub." 15 minutes later, a sleek black sedan pulls up outside the tech hub. The driver does not say much, only opens the door and nods toward the back seat. Jaden climbs in with his worn backpack resting on his knees. The ride is silent. The city fades into manicured lawns and stone gates. When they arrive at Whitmore Estate, the vehicle rolls down a long circular driveway and stops behind the grand house. Jaden is led through the back service entrance. The staff barely look at him. He catches whispers. "That's the kid they sent? I thought we were getting someone official. He's probably going to break it worse." Inside, the halls are lined with portraits and polished floors. The air smells like cedar and money. A maid walks past carrying a tray of crystal glasses. She raises an eyebrow. A footman nearly bumps into him, then continues on without apology. They lead Jaden to the library, where the television waits like a relic. It sits heavy and square on a wooden console, encased in polished walnut, silent as a tomb. Mr. Whitmore stands beside the hearth. He does not extend a hand. He barely blinks. "The Zenith," he grunts. "No one's fixed it in 20 years. Let's see what you've got, boy." It is not a greeting. It is a test. Jaden does not flinch. He walks past the staff, kneels on the rug, and unzips his kit. He studies the television for a moment, then begins to work. Behind him, the whispers begin again. Curiosity, doubt. A slow burn of tension as screw by screw, panel by panel, he exposes the machine's forgotten insides. He hears none of it. His mind quiets. His focus sharpens. Every motion is deliberate. Every pause means something. He breathes through it. This is not just about fixing a television. It is about proving that he belongs in rooms like this. Rooms built to overlook him. The fire crackles. Mr. Whitmore watches. The maid stands frozen, tray forgotten. Someone leans closer, and Jaden works. Have you ever had to prove yourself the moment you walked in? Drop your story. Jaden kneels on the ornate rug, tools spread out neatly beside him. The vintage 1961 Zenith television looms in front of him like a stubborn relic from another era. Its wooden frame is smooth but worn, its brass knobs dulled by time. He runs his fingers over the panel, listening to the quiet hum of the room. In his mind, this machine has its own kind of soul. The tubes inside are older than his mother. The staff around him exchange skeptical glances. A butler folds his arms. A maid whispers under her breath, "This is pointless." Jaden hears them, but he does not respond. He picks up his voltage tester and begins tracing the internal pathways. His motions are calm and methodical. He follows each wire like a story, measuring every shift in current, watching for inconsistencies. He adjusts the cathode gently, fingers moving as if by memory. This is not guesswork. This is understanding. He sees the way the dust has settled across the copper coils. He notes where the soldering has worn thin. Every observation builds a map in his head. He works slowly, not because he is unsure, but because speed has never been the point. Precision matters. A footman chuckles from across the room. Another staff member mutters, "He's wasting everyone's time." Jaden continues without a word. He removes a cracked insulator, replaces a loose grounding wire, and cleans the lens behind the front panel. As he reaches for one of the vacuum tubes, it slips slightly in his grip and cracks. The pop is soft, but unmistakable. Gasps ripple through the room. Someone laughs under their breath. Jaden swallows the wave of panic rising in his chest. Without missing a beat, he opens his kit and pulls out a matching replacement from a padded pouch. Always carry extras, he mutters quietly to himself. He inserts the new tube with extra care. It clicks into place. He tightens the side bracket and checks the copper alignment inside the housing. He adjusts the spacing until it feels just right, then takes a single deep breath. Silence fills the library. Jaden places his hand on the side of the zenith and flips the power switch. At first, nothing happens. The staff begin to turn away, but then a faint whine builds. The screen glows softly. A moment later, the familiar grain of black and white static dances across the glass. And then, the image sharpens. A movie appears. A man in a suit stands in front of a 1960s cityscape, grainy and full of motion. The room freezes. Jaden sits back slightly, the glow of the screen reflecting off his face. Mr. Whitmore steps forward slowly. His eyes are locked on the television. "I watched my father on this screen," he murmurs. No one speaks. The fire crackles behind them, but no one turns away from the zenith. Even the maid sets down her tray. Even the butler unfolds his arms. Jaden finally stands, brushing the dust from his knees. He does not smile. He does not look for praise. He only nods once and begins putting his tools away. Mr. Whitmore approaches him, still staring at the working machine. "How did you know what to do?" Jaden meets his eyes. "I listen. Machines speak when you pay attention." Mr. Whitmore nods, his voice quiet. Most people stop listening before they even try. Jaden packs the final screwdriver, zips the bag, and stands tall. What he has repaired is not just circuitry. It is memory. It is possibility. The whispers are gone now. The room holds a different kind of silence, one filled with understanding. Have you ever fixed something others gave up on? Tell us how it felt. Jaden packed his tools with the same care he had shown when opening the zenith. One by one, each piece returned to its designated place in the kit. The television still glowed gently behind him, playing the same vintage black and white movie. The room was quieter now, but it carried a different energy. It felt as though something had shifted. He zipped the kit and stood. No one spoke. A few of the staff moved aside as he walked toward the library doors. Jaden expected to be thanked politely, paid quietly, and sent back to the neighborhood he came from. That would have been enough. He had done what he came to do. Just as he reached the threshold, Mr. Whitmore cleared his throat. Jaden turned. "Where did you learn that?" Whitmore asked, voice even, eyes sharp. Jaden paused. "Books, online tutorials, old junk mostly, trial and error." Whitmore nodded slowly. "You fixed what no one else could." Jaden shifted slightly, unsure how to respond. Whitmore turned to his assistant, who stood near the fireplace with a tablet in hand. "Set him up for tomorrow." The assistant blinked. "Sir?" "Tomorrow, 10 sharp." Jaden's brow furrowed, but Whitmore gave no further explanation. He simply nodded once and walked away. Jaden left the estate the way he came, through the back entrance. The driver offered no details, just held the door and returned him home. When Jaden reached his apartment building, the sun had begun to set. He climbed the stairs, head full of questions. As he reached the top step, he saw something resting against the door. A sleek silver box sat there, gleaming under the flickering hallway light. He picked it up and carried it inside. Miss Talia was still at work. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the fridge. Jaden opened the box carefully. Inside was a top-tier soldering station, the kind he had only seen on tech forums. Alongside it was a full precision toolkit, organized in custom foam, each tool engraved with subtle initials. A folded card rested on top. "This is just the start." That was all it said. Jaden stood in the middle of the kitchen holding the note. His hands trembled slightly, not from disbelief but from something deeper. Recognition. Someone had seen him. Not just his skill, but the depth of what he carried. The hours. The silence. The choice to keep going. He set the box on his desk and stared at it for a long time. Then he unpacked the tools and laid them out like an altar. A space where purpose and possibility finally met. The next morning, he arrived at the estate on time. The driver was waiting. This time, Jaden walked through the front door. Mr. Whitmore met him in the marble foyer. No assistant, no staff, just the two of them. He extended a small, white envelope. Jaden took it and opened the flap. Inside was a dark silver card. On its face, engraved in fine lettering, "Lifetime Access, Whitmore Innovation Lab." Whitmore nodded. "You are not just a fixer. You are a builder, and builders deserve better tools." Jaden could not find the words, so he simply nodded in return. The rest of the morning passed in a quiet tour. Whitmore showed him a private wing filled with devices in various stages of design: 3D printers, circuit simulators, prototype engines. The lab was clean, humming, alive with ideas. Jaden took it all in, every detail, every cable, every possible future. By the time he left that day, something in him felt sturdier. Not finished, just beginning. Has someone ever recognized your potential when you least expected it? Let us celebrate them. The days following the repair of the Zenith television unfold like chapters in a new book. Jaden returns to the estate regularly, first for small tasks, then for longer visits. What starts as a quiet agreement between him and Mr. Whitmore slowly becomes something more deliberate. Whitmore does not say much in the beginning. He observes, makes notes, leaves open books in Jaden's path. One day, it is a manual on transistor theory. Another day, a memoir by a pioneering engineer. Then come the introductions. Engineers and inventors from Whitmore's vast network begin appearing at the estate's lab, exchanging ideas over coffee and circuits. Jaden listens more than he speaks. He watches how they move, how they think aloud. He takes notes in the margins of his own notebook, jotting questions to research later. In between visits, he builds small radios in his room. He restores antique clocks Whitmore had nearly thrown away. He starts teaching himself the basics of machine learning, using free resources and old textbooks Whitmore quietly lends him. Their conversations begin as short as their meetings. A question here, a correction there. Slowly, they expand. One evening, while reviewing the wiring of a miniature weather station project, Whitmore finally shares a piece of his story. He tells Jaden about starting his first company in a garage behind a grocery store, about building something only to watch it collapse from poor planning and bad timing, about having to rebuild everything from scratch with fewer friends and more doubt. Jaden listens carefully, never interrupting. Whitmore looks out the window when he finishes the story. "I got so good at hiding my failures, I forgot how much they taught me." Jaden nods. Failures speak louder than wins sometimes. From then on, their work becomes more collaborative. Whitmore critiques Jaden's diagrams with careful honesty. Jaden asks sharper questions. He begins documenting his process in detail, writing reflections in his journal each night. With encouragement, he starts recording simple tutorial videos on repair work and uploads them online. The channel gains traction slowly, then all at once. People begin to comment. Teachers reach out. Former skeptics leave messages of encouragement. Subscribers grow week by week. Jaden, once invisible in his own classroom, now shares lessons with thousands of viewers around the world. His confidence grows not from applause, but from clarity. He begins leading repair workshops at the local community center. Younger kids gather around as he explains circuits and power flow. He is patient. He is clear. He remembers what it was like to be the quiet one in the room. Whitmore watches all of this unfold with quiet pride. He never takes credit. He just makes space. One afternoon, as Jaden adjusts the antenna on a field transmitter he designed, Whitmore leans against the doorway of the lab. He folds his arms and says softly, "You remind me of myself before the world got in the way." Jaden does not look up right away. He finishes tightening a screw, then turns to face him. That's the goal, right? To not let it get in the way again. Whitmore nods. He does not smile often, but today there is something close. Jaden returns to his work, but the words settle in his chest like steady hands. What they have built together is more than a lab or a channel or a skill set. It is a path. It is proof that mentorship can be quiet and powerful, built in moments rather than declarations. Have you ever had someone teach you something that changed your whole path? Drop your story. The convention center buzzes with energy as attendees shuffle between rows of booths and interactive displays. It is the annual West Coast Tech Expo, a sprawling event filled with innovators, investors, and eager spectators. Tucked in a prominent corner of the Student Innovation section, Jaden stands beside a modest table. On display is a small prototype labeled ARIA, Adaptive Repair Intelligence Assistant. It is not the flashiest setup in the room, but it is the one gathering the longest line. ARIA, a compact AI-powered device, scans broken electronics and suggests custom repair plans. Jaden built it using repurposed parts, open-source software, and months of late nights at the lab. Curious onlookers gather. A few investors pause, then stay. Engineers lean in for questions. A representative from a major tech publication whispers to her photographer, "Get a shot of the kid." By midday, Jaden's table has drawn a small crowd. People watch in amazement as he demonstrates ARIA diagnosing a corroded circuit board and outlining the repair in real time. A panel judge for the Expo's Emerging Talent category asks to see the code base. Jaden walks him through it without missing a beat. Media outlets take notice. Within hours, headlines begin to appear. Teen from the streets shocks industry with DIY AI invention. Young innovator redefines repair tech. No degree, no backing, just brilliance. Back at the estate, Whitmore follows the coverage from his study. When a reporter calls for comment, he responds with a quote that appears everywhere by the next morning. Jaden Carter is the future of technology. I am proud to name him the first Youth Tech Fellow of the Whitmore Foundation. The title includes access to funding, research facilities, and a global mentorship network. Jaden receives the news by email, but hears it first from a handshake and a quiet smile from Whitmore himself. The awards ceremony takes place in a polished auditorium overlooking the bay. Jaden walks onto the stage in a simple black suit. His voice shakes slightly as he faces the audience, but his words land clearly. "You do not have to be born in a mansion to fix the future," he says. "Sometimes all it takes is one chance, one tool, one moment." The room stands in applause. Not just for the invention, but for the message. When he returns home to his neighborhood, Jaden finds something unexpected. His school has planned a pep rally in his honor. Streamers line the gymnasium. Students fill the bleachers. The principal reads a speech about perseverance and vision. Jaden stands awkwardly near the edge of the court until someone hands him the mic. He does not give a long speech. He just says, "If you ever feel like you do not belong, build a reason to stay." Even some of the students who once mocked him come forward. A few shake his hand. One apologizes. Another asks how to start learning basic coding. Jaden answers every question. Back in his room, his notebook has grown into a digital archive. His online channel has reached 50,000 subscribers. His inbox fills daily with messages from students, teachers, and parents. He responds to as many as he can. Recognition does not change Jaden's rhythm. He still spends hours rebuilding discarded tech. He still sharpens his tools. He still watches the world with quiet attention. But he walks taller now. He knows the worth of his hands, his ideas, and his voice. He knows that rising does not mean forgetting where you started. It means opening the door wider behind you. Have you ever turned doubt into your drive? Let us hear how you rose up. At 19, Jaden runs a nonprofit dedicated to training kids from underserved communities in electronics and engineering. The organization began in a borrowed classroom with a few donated kits and a dozen curious students. Today, it operates out of a bustling tech hub in the heart of the city. The space is filled with energy, ideas, and the quiet clatter of progress. Jaden's team includes former students, local mentors, and engineers who once watched his rise with curiosity and now support it with admiration. Together, they have trained over 500 youth. 12 scholarships have been launched through partnerships with universities and tech firms. More than 80 free tech repair kiosks have been installed in low-income neighborhoods, each staffed by graduates of his training program. Jaden remains hands-on. He still teaches. He still repairs. He still walks into classrooms with the same backpack and the same look of quiet determination. Students listen when he speaks, not because he demands it, but because he speaks from experience. He shows them what it looks like to build something lasting from the scraps others left behind. His online platform has grown into a global community. Video tutorials, virtual labs, and guest sessions from inventors and innovators are available to anyone with internet access. His message remains unchanged. Brilliance is not bound by wealth. Genius is not limited to zip codes. Every Sunday, Jaden visits Mr. Whitmore. The estate feels more like a second home now. They do not speak much about the past. Instead, they sit side by side at the long oak table in the lab, restoring vintage gadgets and talking quietly about circuits and ideas. Whitmore has grown older, slower, but his mind remains sharp. He tells fewer stories now and asks more questions. He watches Jaden with the same quiet pride he once tried to hide. Their bond is unspoken but unmistakable. In the front hall of the estate, enclosed in a glass case, sits the original Zenith television, the same one Jaden fixed at 14. It still works. It plays a loop of black and white footage from the day it came back to life. Next to it hangs a photo of Jaden, kneeling mid-repair, his expression focused, his hands steady. Beneath the display is a simple plaque, built to last. So was he. Visitors pause there often. Some know the story, others learn it as they walk through the estate's innovation wing, now renamed the Carter Whitmore Center for Applied Design. Jaden does not dwell on recognition. He stays in motion. There are more students to reach, more machines to restore, more pathways to clear. When asked how he measures success, he always says the same thing. When a kid who thought they were invisible learns how to make something that matters, that is when we win. Jaden's journey is no longer just about proving himself. It is about making space for others. It is about legacy built through tools and time, through courage and mentorship. He still keeps his first toolkit on his shelf. The soldering station gifted to him rests beside a framed note that reads, "This is just the start." He glances at it before every class, every workshop, every launch, because the work is never finished. And that is exactly how he likes it. Share this story if you believe genius can come from anywhere and that all it needs is a chance.